Hey guys, Shalreth here. Another exciting day in Fire Emblem Heroes, and as promised, today we're going to be reviewing the Blue Heroes. We're going to do a new series called Keep or Send Home. So in Fire Emblem Heroes, you can send heroes home and get feathers. This is going to be my personal opinion on the heroes based on their skills, some of their stats, and kind of how they can mesh with other heroes. We'll be starting with the blue tier heroes, or the blue heroes, and then working our way to the other ones. So I want to try and move through this as quick as possible, give a really good rundown of each hero, but still keep it simple so we can keep the time limit down. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with Sharena. Now she is in the bottom of a lot of tier lists. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think she has a lot of potential, especially as an early support, just because she has a lot of abilities that support other heroes. So first off, her weapon gives a -4 attack and an AoE, which is actually very strong. She can give another unit +4 attack, and she also grants an AoE defense. So she has a lot of support potential, so I wouldn't count her out. I'd definitely say she's a keep overall. I would not send her home just because she has a lot of potential to be a good support unit. There are other units that do pretty well in terms of overall support, but she does have almost every single ability except for this speed, which really only helps her, that helps other units. So she is a very good support unit. Alright, so let's move on. Next we're going to be doing Azura. Azura is definitely a keep. Why? Because she has Sing. So Sing and Dance both let other heroes take another action. This is an extremely powerful skill. You can heal twice in one turn. You could attack twice in one turn. You could move twice in one turn. It helps get your slow movers actually into the battle way faster. So she is a really amazing support with Sing, just like Olivia with Dance. She also gets AoE resistance, which is good against mages. So again, she's more of a support unit, and she does have some good attack abilities just because she gets this bonus for the triangle, and then she also gets speed. So a lot of times she'll be able to attack twice. She has a pretty good speed start. Alright, so she's definitely a keep. Next is Effie. You guys will have to excuse my pronunciation if I pronounce anything wrong. I've used Effie as part of one of my core teams, and she is an amazing tank because of her HP, and her attack stat gets extremely high. So she is very slow though. She's an armored unit, so she only gets to move one space regardless of terrain, and if there's a map with any kind of caverns or bridges or anything like that, she is going to suffer pretty heavily. She does have Smite, which is occasionally helpful, mainly when you have a mage behind you and you want to push them away so they can't be targeted. So she is really good at kind of creating a funnel, and again, she has an insanely high attack stat, and then also gets +6, so she can do a lot of damage. Her support abilities are not super great, because she's more of a selfish hero. So she does a lot by herself, but doesn't really help support. Like I said, Smite can be useful in some instances, but not all the time. I find myself usually trying to move because she is so slow, rather than trying to reposition, but I have found it useful sometimes. And you can push past caverns, or impassable terrain, except by flying. Flying can go over any terrain, but infantry can get pushed over caverns, so it can be useful in kind of initiating, but usually if she's your tank, you'd want her to get pushed over and not her pushing someone else. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on. Hinoka. So she's okay. This attack twice is okay. So Hinoka is actually pretty good, because this attack twice means that she will attack twice before the opponent can move when she initiates combat. And she also has this ability that AoE damages enemy heroes, but it is on a 5-turn cooldown. But the way that this works is every turn she attacks, when she attacks twice, this counter goes down twice. So really, by the second turn most of the time, because if she's attacking someone, someone's probably going to attack her back and she's going to attack. So this counter, by the second turn, you're already going to be able to use this. So she does have some... She is actually very good. The only reason that I say maybe on her is just because this skill is really good, but it only helps flyers. So really, if you're not going to have a flyer team, I'd probably just stick with the +3 speed, because that is going to be beneficial. But that is her only support, so she's really just a pure damager, which isn't bad, but you'd really have to build a team around her. And there's some other heroes that are just like that. Cordelia, which we'll talk about, is just like that. But she has some other bonuses that make her really good. So again, she's a keep if you want to build a team around her. I definitely wouldn't say that she's bad, but she is selfish. So you'd really have to start with her and then get some other units that are going to help support her, a healer, maybe a dancer, or someone with sing, and then some other type of damage. Because she's going to be doing physical damage, you're going to want a caster. So that's really going to be your whole team. So, like I said, she's a keep, but you really want to build a team around her, just because she's not going to have too much support. Same thing, Effie, same way. You're going to have to build a team around her, especially to get her moving into combat. So again, there's heroes that you're going to want to build a team around, and then there's heroes that are going to be good in almost all cases, and those are always going to be an immediate keep. So let's move on to Oboro. Alright, so Oboro has effective against arm units, a rally defense, so +4 defense, -7 defense through the next action, AoE reduce on resistance. Nothing that stands out really. The one thing is he does have some really good AoE debuffs. So he has some potential to be someone who can help tank for you, and then also reducing those defenses and resistance so that your other heroes can do the damage. So again, he has some possibility, but I think there's other units that are just going to be better in this place. So like I said, he's maybe, but I just don't, or actually it's a her, I'm sorry. I just don't see her actually really having too much impact on the game. So let's move on. Oops, sorry about that. And we'll go to Peri. Alright, so let's see. Peri has got the accelerate special trigger countdown -1, which is good because basically every other turn she's going to be doing another 50% damage. Has resistance, which is okay, and then AoE defense debuff. One benefit is she is cavalry, so she does move rather quick, but again, doesn't really offer too much. Basically, she's just going to be doing a lot of damage, and her one skill really only benefits her in terms of resistance. She does have a really high starting speed, But again, I think there's going to be other units that are just going to add a lot more to your team than her. So let's go ahead and move on to Subaki. This guy, I'd say he's probably not going to make the cut. Mainly because his swap skill, not super useful. Again, doesn't have any support. His only skill is to swap places with an adjacent ally. I'd probably say send him home is what I'd think for this guy. This guy was just in the special map. Just doesn't really add a lot. I would definitely say I'd send him home. Okay, so Cordelia. So there's a reason that people say she's S tier, because she really is just that good, and a lot of it has to do with Gale Force, and then comboed with her Brave Lance. So again, like I was saying before, she gets to attack twice. So every time she gets to move, this counter is reduced by 2. So she's going to be getting a whole heck of a lot of turns, and she's going to be getting to move and attack a whole lot. And she also gets this bonus where she gets to move through units. Can be useful for positioning. It'd actually be way more useful if she got like a plus speed, but I think she might be a little bit too good then. And she has a bonus 20% damage. So she is just a straight damager, but any one hero that gets to go 2 turns is going to be pretty much your S tier or double S tier, just because they get to do so much in 1 turn. And again, even though it's a 5-turn cooldown, her attacking twice and reducing this by 2 is just complete nonsense. It's just crazy. I got her, and she is simply an amazing unit, a truly amazing unit. She's someone that you would want to build your team around. She's a definite keep, hands down. If you guys get her, build her. You never know when you're going to want to use her, because she's just an amazing overall unit. Okay, Donnel. So Donnel was today's special map, and he is, in my opinion, a send home. He's no good. He does get to attack twice, but he doesn't really benefit too much from this. And swapping HP with an adjacent ally, not very good, especially because he gets higher max HP. Just doesn't really have any support, doesn't have any extra damage, anything like that. He's definitely sending home. You want to send him home. Alright, Sully. So Sully is also someone who you're probably going to want to send home. So Swordbreaker. Okay, so you're already a blue lance, so you're already good against red swords, because only red uses swords. So this skill is super redundant. You're already good against it. I don't see any point to being like double good against it and then triple good against it with like a double weapon triangle, and you get the follow-up attack. I mean, you're just going to completely annihilate anyone who uses a sword, but you're going to over damage it so much that you're just losing out on a lot of benefits. She does get an AoE defense. I just don't think that's enough to really bring her into someone you're going to want to build a team around, or even have in your team. I'd say that you probably want to send her home. Okay, so Florina's in one of those maybe states, because she can heal AoE. She can AoE heal, and she's a damager. And she can also heal an adjacent ally just in emergency, that hey, I have a unit that's about to die and I need to heal. So I'd probably say that she's a keep just for now, just because she gets a lot of benefits. So AoE heal is pretty rare on an attacking unit, so I'd definitely say she's a keep. She's definitely a flyer, so you could try and build like a flyer team with Cordelia and her. Unfortunately, they're both blue lances, so you're going to have some disadvantages there. So again, I'd keep her, but she could be sent home if you don't really find any uses for her. Gwendolyn, just does not have enough support. So she's really slow, and she only grants, again, this armored allies. Unless you're going to build a full armored slow tank team, I don't see her having too much use. She is just crazy tanky, takes even more reduced damage from ranged foes, and this activates pretty much every other turn. Drag back is, I don't think, super useful, other than, like I said, if you're building an all armored team, she could see some use, but other than that, I don't think she's very good. Shanna's going to be another one that you're going to want to send home. Really, she just gets a boost in damage and the AoE speed debuff. Not super great. She just doesn't have enough. Again, she's a blue lance. There's other blue lances. You're just not going to really want to use her. Alright, Abel. So I've seen some posts on Reddit that Abel's the counter attack, the counter to the current meta. He does get the attack twice. He does get range decreased by 50%. Again, this is reduced by 2 each turn, so every other turn he's getting this. And again, he has this skill that you're already good against sword users. You're like, now you're just doubling up against sword users. I just don't see that as super useful. But any bow, he would be good against any bow user. So that is something to consider. And he does get tanky just because of this +5 max HP. So I definitely keep him. I just don't know if he's going to really be super useful. But again, with the current meta, we're seeing a lot of bow users. So this could be someone that is pretty useful. Alright, we're going to skip Camus and go to Catria. Gonna go ahead and say send her home. Just because actually, you know what? Yeah, no, I'd still say send her home, just because, well, she is a 4 to 5 star, so maybe you guys would want to keep her. But I just don't think she's going to be that useful. She's just not going to see too much use. She's too selfish. So she gets plus defense, and the opponent that she attacks gets minus attack. But it's just not going to be super useful. Again, she gets to use this skill every other turn. But she's very selfish, and there's just other units that you could build a team around that are going to be better. Alright, hopefully I think we're almost done. I want to try and keep this under at least 20 minutes. So Est, again, you're going to want to send her home. She just does not really bring enough to the table. +7 resistance, not too great, especially because she's flying, so she's mostly going to be taking damage from physical attack. This isn't even super useful. And then the -7 speed is very good, but she just doesn't have enough follow-up with it. She's just not going to be able to support any of the members in your team. Alright, Jagen, or Jagen. Fury is a very mixed bag. Don't think it's going to be super useful. taking 6 damage, and this is going to be pure damage, so it's not going to be reduced by defense or resistance, is going to hurt in the long run. 3 attack, and 3 plus 3 all stats is just, I don't think it's going to be super useful. I think you're going to take too much damage. Because you imagine if, let's say Jagen was your last hero, and you could one-shot every hero on their team, you're taking 24 damage. So that's if you could even survive, and that's like that would be if all the opposing heroes are doing 0 damage. The only way I could really see him being useful is you dedicate a healer to him. The only problem is he's cavalry, so he's moving way faster than your healer. He's gonna escape your hero or your healer, sorry. And then again, he has this cavalry buff, which I'm glad they did that, because they kind of made certain skills really strong, but you have to have certain teams set up. So again, I don't think he's going to be someone who's going to see a lot of play. Alright, Corrin. So she has quite a bit of buffs. So she gets this: unit foes within 2 space suffer -5 attack and -5 speed. That's crazy amazing on a weapon. Okay. Then also, after combat, enemies suffer -7 resistance. That's really good. And then grants adjacent allies +4 attack. She's a keep. She's pretty great. I'd definitely use her. She has some really good potential with helping your mages, helping your entire team, and debuffing the entire enemy team. She has some really good potential to be a good hero. And Nowi. I have Nowi. Nowi's amazing. This skill is really awesome. Enables counterattack regardless of attacker's range. She has no special, so it doesn't even matter. Cooldown +1 doesn't even matter. Not affected. And she gets a +4 defense to an adjacent ally. She herself is super tanky, and she AoE debuffs enemy resistance. So she's doing more damage because she's doing lightning damage, and she also helps buff your mage if you're gonna run a mage with her. I use her. She's an amazing unit. This attack is just crazy. No matter what, she gets the counter, so she'll always be doing damage. And that seems to be, every hero that has this seems to be an S tier pretty much immediately, because it's valued so high. You're always getting to do damage. It kind of nullifies the entire idea of a ranged hero being able to take advantage of some of its enemy being melee, and it's just really amazing. And she's super tanky and does lots of damage, so she's really good. This guy you're not able to get, Odin. Odin is no good. Send him home. Red tome user, again, you're already a blue tome user. You already have an advantage. You're already, face rolling against red tome users. You already got the weapon triangle advantage. You're getting another advantage. It's just not that great. And then if he's below 50%, he gets +7 attack. I just don't see that being super useful, because he is a mage. He's probably going to get hurt pretty bad and most likely die in one shot. Most of the mages that I've seen usually die in one shot as soon as a melee hero gets there. So I just don't think he's going to get much use to it. I'd send him home. Now Robin. They have given him a pretty high tier, I think either A tier. He does have this one advantage of colorless, so of all the heroes in the entire game, he gets a weapon advantage versus colorless. He does get an AoE defense buff. He, I think, is probably one of the better blue mages. He's just not super great. Hopefully in the future we'll see some better blue mages coming in, and he'll kind of get knocked down in the tier list. I think the only reason that he is up so high is just because he's the best out of the bunch, and the blue tome is just not very good. Ursula you're not able to get. Linde, Linde is an interesting hero and very strong. So she has this 14 might, restores 5 HP to all adjacent allies after combat. That's pretty awesome, because if you have your tank in front of you, he's taking damage, you cast your attack 2 spaces away and you're going to heal your tank. And she gets plus speed, so she's already got a super high speed at 11, and then gets plus 3 speed, so she's going to be attacking twice most of the time with a 14 might. She's very strong, grants allies 5 resistance. That's actually really good. And you can see her attack stat is crazy high because of this 14 might. So she's really good. Again, she's not going to last long because she's a mage, and you want to keep your mages far away. And she also has the Ardent Sacrifice. If your tank was about to die and there's only melee heroes and you're on a bridge, you might want to use this to just keep them alive. But you just got to be careful. You don't want to lose your mage again, because she's going to be doing so much damage, and every time she attacks she heals. And 5 HP isn't crazy, but it's every time you attack. It's really strong. So Linde is hands down the S tier of blue mages, and like I said, they're just not all that great. There's not a lot of great options. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, these are my personal opinions, just based on what I've seen of the game so far, and we'll be doing the green heroes next. There's some really exciting green heroes, and there's some most of the green heroes are pretty meh in terms of their abilities and their capabilities to form a team. So again, these are just my opinions based on the teams that I've been able to put together so far. You might have some disagreements. You might not think that some of the skills that I put value in have value. Go ahead and leave a comment and let me know what you guys think, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.